Okay, so this is an interesting one. It's about rituals, all kinds, spiritual, religious, uh, day to day, like kind of just social rituals. There are social rituals, by the way. Don't think we're. It's funny. It's funny. But here's what my note says: rituals are triggered for the feeling of power. The feeling, and I highlighted the feeling. Since we are energy vibration, it's the feeling that basically works, that the world shifts around and basically makes us feel, makes us like, I don't know, engage. World shifts this way. It's true. Reality. If you look at your own reality or like any form of like your the way you engage with the world, you'll always be able to look at if you're in a good mood, everything looks perky. Good mood, positive feelings, good feelings. If you're in a bad mood, everything kind of looks all kinds of ways. Sometimes it still looks bright, but you kind of feel like everything needs to be broken down. And so the world, we interact with the world through the energy that we emit to it. It can't be helped. Like even gravity that pulls us to Earth actually emits a vibration for us to be able to be pulled. A magnet has a positive and a negative charge. And both of them are emitting, but one pushes out and one brings in. Contracting. Oh fuck, I forgot the word. But anyways, so the reason I was thinking of rituals is because I was reading an article about Glastonbury being the heart chakra of the world, and it got me back to some stuff I read once about how the church in the early 1500s basically started killing all the pagans on that side and all the people, all the different tribes that existed within Northern Europe, and they killed them in order to kind of like solidify the word of like Christianity in the Bible and shit like this. But also because like they had witches and other like different rituals that those tribes did, and they didn't want them involved in modern day society. Which is funny. Like everyone can have their own belief. It's fine. I think it's all a mental game, and I'm not challenging anyone. You're free to believe what you want, and I do believe whatever you see is the truth because like it's very much the truth. The ancient Greeks discussed somebody thinking when you're getting these thoughts and where you're getting like inspiration from something, they never considered it that people were the same. They considered that you basically would have something called a daemon, Daemon. Sounds familiar, right? A daemon, kind of like throwing it to you. The same thing Romans talked about it as having a genius. It's not genius, a genius, which is the whole Aladdin lamps genie thing, kind of like gives you wishes because you ask what you want and then it kind of like comes and goes like here you go, this is the solution you want. And it's funny because that's my, I think our relationship with the mind is basically through negotiation. Like what do you want, what do I have to do, and what do you have to do? And when you set the intention and the mind kind of follows and then you engage with each other, and if you set an intention and you're straying off the path because you're still human and a lot of things distract you, then basically move left and right. But so like all these are kind of like certain things that exist, like rituals throughout our history. And I was thinking about them because I was like reading the article and how people used to like worship and how they still go there. And there's like in north of Spain, people still go and walk the pilgrimages. Like these are rituals, these are annual rituals. And right now, at this current moment, there's a group of meditators that worldwide basically connected themselves and are going to India so they could pray all of them together and meditate in order to give positive energy to this earth. Like naturally, that's what they want, and that's what they're thinking. It's perfectly fine. Everyone can do their shit. Nobody gives a fuck. And what they're trying to do is basically kind of like be more of a positive energy towards the world. And for 15 days, they're going to go meditate. They're going to like basically try to be that. balance or just spread positive energy. I have my own thoughts on that stuff because I think like if you want to balance something, then ultimately you're pushing it in a different direction, right? It makes sense. So if something's going here and I end up pushing, this thing is not resolving itself. So what effectively happens, it could go off balance and I need to push more. So that causes like two different forces, but true balance is neutrality. There's no force. It's just there. And I think that's the center of human nature that we try to achieve because you never push for something or pull for something. You kind of stand in the best position for it to kind of like happen naturally. It's a Taoist kind of thought process, but it's fine. So when I was thinking of rituals, I was thinking of how people from everything, from like witchcraft to like priesthood, they kind of like do these ceremonies and they repeat them in order for them to kind of like reach some form of nirvana. And guitarists basically, when they're practicing, these are rituals in order for their hands to kind of like, they have like the warm up exercises, which become rituals. They have all kinds of approaches. And the goal ultimately is to reach that mental state or that spiritual state where you're kind of like exposed to the aether. And you can tell where there's a guitarist that's a virtuoso, right? Like you kind of, there are some states you kind of have to wait for them to come back because they don't want to stop playing until the actual song is gone, is done from their heads. And again, like that is people used to chant for it and people used to kind of like explore towards it. Now, it's funny, this information is from a TED talk from the woman that that wrote the book Eat, Pray, Love. But so that these rituals kind of give us feelings that support, give us the confidence to kind of do these things over and over again, that make our mind believe that what we're repeating is being more ingrained with us. And slowly, slowly, it's becoming a part of us. And it's the feeling that I got triggered for, like that triggered me because, like, these rituals are kind of created by us on a day-to-day basis. Like if you watch people when they go to work, most people when they go to work, they have a few things they have to do before the day starts. They're creating the work ritual, and that kind of sets their mind. The same when they go home, the same when they go to like the supermarket, when they like anytime somebody's actually like has some form of purpose that they have to kind of like achieve. They develop rituals, whether they're aware of it or not. And the more aware you are, the better the rituals you develop. So a guitarist who wants to get much better at the guitar, at playing guitar, develops a warm-up ritual on a day-to-day basis. So that when he starts playing, he doesn't have to go through all the ups and downs and the things that kind of like stand in the way of like your fingers moving. He develops the warm-up ritual, you get back in the zone of playing the guitar, and then after that, you just start playing music or exploring different kinds of music and all these things. What about our day-to-day lives? What about our growing up rituals? What about when people say discipline? What the fuck are they talking about? When people say be consistent, what are they talking about? And every single time you wake up in the morning, and if the first thing you do is stretch, then automatically what you're doing is you're kind of like releasing yourself from the night and you're starting the day. I started looking at my morning routine as a ritual. And even if I do it in the afternoon, it's funny because if I don't walk in the morning in the morning and I end up walking sometime at noon, by the time I get to noon, I'm not really like 100% awake. And it's funny because like I would have taken a shower and done all that stuff. And doing these things, the patterns that are being set up for my health, are being set up for my learning, are being set up for my music, are being set up for YouTube as well, for these videos. It's become like a ritualistic thing. And now the notes that I write, it's become more of a ritualistic thing that before I start recording, I actually look at the notes and I start kind of like thinking of a couple of things and I write them down. And then when I open the video, I'm a lot more confident talking about these things. And so it's the feeling that they impose on us. With the first day of school, when we go and we choose our desk, and for the rest of the year, that's our desk, which means anytime we're sitting there, we're listening to the teacher. We're, right? And anytime I enter the house, when I'm sitting on this side under the light, I'm more in like YouTube recording mode. But I'm sitting on the other side, I'm more research, like finding out what's interesting online and like checking what I want to do for the next day's mode. When anytime you enter a kitchen, the first thing that happens is you start feeling hungry. All these are the smaller patterns of our days that are technically rituals that our mind uses in order to explore the next steps after they start existing. And they impose these feelings on us. So effectively, as we create them, and if we were aware enough to create the rituals for our own future, then ultimately we'd be setting up the baseline for the patterns that define our success. If we were to kind of learn from the people that ritualistically wanted, danced for the earth to give them rain, or the people that hummed ritualistically for God to give them peace, I think we can create our own, like the rituals that bring us closer to the goals that we have. Day in and day out, we repeat these rituals until the time comes when we actually get to explore them. Okay, cool beans.